Hi friends, welcome to My 10 Cent. In this video, we will talk about the world of small and mid-cap equity mutual funds and why investing in small and mid-cap equity mutual funds is like following Alice down the rabbit hole. I have been investing in stock markets and equity mutual funds now for close to 20 years. And in my experience, investing in small and mid-cap equity mutual funds is a bit like following Alice down the rabbit hole. I'm sure you would remember the children's book, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, where a tiny girl, Alice, sees a white rabbit, go down the rabbit hole, and out of curiosity, she follows him into the rabbit hole, into a strange and different world where a lot of strange things happen to her. Investing in small and mid-cap funds is a lot like that, where in a single year, you can get 100% profits or 80% profits or double your money almost, and in another single year, you can lose even half of your money. So you need to, it's a very different world. It's highly unpredictable. It can be exciting. A lot of strange things can happen. And in this video, I'll give you 3 tips which will come in handy when you invest in small and mid-cap equity mutual funds. But first, the basics. What are mid-cap mutual funds and what are small-cap mutual funds? Mid-cap mutual funds need to invest 65%, minimum 65% of their corpus into mid-cap shares. And mid-cap shares are basically medium-sized companies. Technically speaking, as per SEBI, if you rank all the companies listed in India today in terms of their market value, mid-cap companies are those companies which will rank from 101 onwards till 250. Likewise, small-cap mutual funds need to invest again minimum 65% into small-cap stocks, and small-cap stocks are those stocks which rank in terms of market value 251 and below. So this is basically mid-cap and small-cap equity mutual funds. Now, why did I say that in a single year, small-cap funds and mid-cap funds are capable of giving massive volatility? You need to understand the basics of that as well. If you look at a small-cap fund, small-cap stock, the evolution, the journey of a small-cap stock is to start as a small 1% company or a partnership company, and over the course of its life to evolve and become a mid or a large cap. And when this happens, massive amount of wealth creation happens because the companies would have probably grown their profits 100 or 1,000 times in the process. So every investor investing in a small and mid-cap space is looking for that small cap stock which is able to grow its profit hundreds of 1,000 times, and in the process, create a massive wealth for the investor. But not all small cap stocks are able to make the journey. To give you an example, let's compare 2 companies, Reliance Communications and Bajaj Finance, over a 10-year horizon, 2010 to 2020 or today. In 2010, Reliance Communications share price was around 300 levels. Do you know what it is today? 3 rupees. Bajaj Finance in 2010 had share price less than 50 rupees. Do you know what the price is today is? 5,000 rupees plus. Now, this is a classic example of the dangers and the risks and the return that awaits a small cap investor. So when you invest in mid and small cap space, you have to be prepared for a highly volatile ride because we don't know which companies are eventually going to make the cut. Also, another reason why small and mid-cap mutual funds are volatile is because these companies are small. So they don't have as many investors or as much of market value as the bigger large cap large cap stocks. And if you look at the large cap space, you will find a lot of international investors investing in them, whereas in small cap stocks there aren't too many international investors coming into it. It's largely local investors, and hence depending on the sentiment, when markets are bad, because you don't have a diverse pool of investors, the share price typically falls more than large cap stocks. So because of these 2 reasons, because they're small, having lesser investors investing in them, and Their performance can be unpredictable over a longer time. Not everybody is able to succeed well. Small and mid-cap space is a bit like, as I said in the beginning, chasing Alice down the rabbit hole. And now we will give you 3 tips to remember when you invest in small and mid-cap equity mutual funds. First, as I've covered briefly, small cap and mid-cap mutual funds sit at the right extreme of risk and return. They are highly risky and they can be highly remunerative. So if you're investing in small and mid-cap funds, do not look at 1 or 2 year track record and project to the future, because it can be very dangerous. Your returns can highly suffer because if you look at a year such as 21, when small and mid-cap mutual funds would have given you 60-70% return, do not get carried away by that. They are fully capable of losing over 50%. Just to give you an example, during COVID, small and mid-cap mutual funds had fallen by close to 50% in a matter of 2 or 3 months. Okay, so be very careful. They're highly risky, they're highly volatile. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2. Even if you were to decide to invest in small and mid-cap mutual funds, you need to understand that you have to have the ability to pick the right fund. Because in the same category, the variation in performance of one fund with the other fund is very high. Let me explain with an example. Let's take the large cap category. In the large cap category, if you take all the 30 or 40 funds sitting in large cap category, you will find that most of the funds sit in the range of plus minus 3 or 4%, which basically means if you take the average, 70% of the funds, the difference in performance can't be more than 4 to 5%, one fund versus the other. But in a small and mid cap space, this difference of plus minus 4% goes to plus minus 10%. That means the best performer and the worst performer, the difference can be as high as 20%. Let me give you an example. Let's take 2 funds. 2019 is the year. Axis Small Cap Fund gave plus 20% return. In the same year, HDFC Small Cap Fund gave minus 9%. So if you speak to 2 investors in 2019, one investor would say, I've had a great year, the guy who invested in Axis Small Cap. Another investor would say, I had a bad year, the guy who invested in HDFC Small Cap. I'm not saying here that Axis is better than small cap. I'm just giving this as an example that in the world of small and mid cap equity mutual funds, investing in the category or deciding to invest in the category is not enough. It is very important to pick the right fund, and that is not easy because for example, because there is so many variation, there is so much variation in the stocks, not every fund manager is able to consistently be the top 5 of his category in small and mid cap space. That's tip number 2. When you invest in small and mid cap mutual funds, you should be having the ability to pick the right fund to get good returns. And last tip. Small cap funds and mid cap funds are cyclical in their returns. If you look at the last 10 years or 12 years, you can typically find that after a good year, after a great year of performance, typically small and mid cap funds tend to be poor performers for 2 or 3 years or sometimes 4 years before again increasing giving a massive jump in return, right? As you can see in the chart. So if you are investing in small and mid cap equity mutual funds, invest for a minimum duration of 7 years or ideally 10 years. Do not invest in small and mid cap equity mutual funds looking at a 2 to 3 year horizon, because you don't know which part of the curve are you sitting in. Let me give you an example from my personal case. I invested in a lot of small and mid cap equity mutual funds in 2017. In 2017-18, these funds had given a huge return and I had invested in them. And 2019, 20 and 21, the returns on my small and mid cap equity mutual fund portfolio were very poor. Because those were the 3 years when these funds did not perform well, and it's only in 21, 22 that I finally got decent returns on an investment that I had made in 2017. If I had invested money in 2017 that I needed in 19, then I would have not done a good job with my investment portfolio. So to summarize, equity mutual fund and small cap and mid cap mutual fund investment is a little like the journey of Alice down the rabbit hole. You have to be prepared for a lot of volatility. The fund selection is very important in this category, and more importantly, invest for a long duration, because these returns are very cyclical and there can be years of great years followed by a few bad years. So I hope this video was very useful to you. If you are a new investor, if you're looking to navigate the world of small and mid-cap mutual funds, these 3 tips should come in very handy to you. These are 3 tips which has helped me personally, and it has helped me get good returns from my portfolio. You are watching this video as part of our mutual fund series, where we have covered the other videos which I would ask you to watch in case you haven't seen them. They are large cap versus index funds, or flexi cap funds as flexible, the world of large and mid cap mutual funds, and finally this video that you've just seen. I hope you've liked this video. Please subscribe to our channel. Please click the like button. Do share it with your friends, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.